our life and career over. Many of us have been stretched like this rubber band in our life and career over the last few years. We've experienced challenges, change, and even loss that pressures us to believe we have to bounce back and get over it. But what if there's a better way? Think of me as your coach. We'll work together to redefine resilience and navigate challenges in an authentic and aligned way. Because after all, resilience isn't about bouncing back. We aren't rubber bands. Resilience is about our ability to thrive through change and challenges by extrapolating the lessons and moving forward with purpose and impact. Are you ready to thrive through it? Let's do this. As your coach, I want to ensure that you're set up for success. There's a workbook in the exercise files where you'll have tools to implement what you're learning in each of the 4 chapters in this course. I highly encourage you to use the workbook so that you can make these insights actionable for where you are in your career. Now let's dive in. Now, before we take this journey together to thrive through challenges, change, and loss, we must redefine resilience. We've already said resilience isn't about bouncing back. I've created an acronym to help us get real about resilience. Let's walk through this acronym REAL together. The R of REAL is to reflect. How are you making time to express how you feel? Make time for introspection to identify the loss or change and how you feel about it. This helps us to be more self-aware and emotionally intelligent. As you reflect, ask yourself questions like, how do I feel about this? And why do I feel this way? Our emotions are data, so acknowledge them instead of judging how you feel. When people ask me, how do I feel? I've had to learn that fine is not a feeling. Leverage tools like the Wheel of Emotions developed by American psychologist Robert Plutchik to help you name your feelings. I've provided it for you on page 4 of the exercise file. When we're so focused on bouncing back, we often skip this step, preferring to distract ourselves with tasks and work to just get over it. The E of REAL is to evaluate. After you reflect, evaluate the impact of the challenge on you as well as others. Ask yourself, how is this impacting me? What conversations do I need to have to gain more clarity? Who do I need to be more transparent with in conversation? This helps you accept where you are and anticipate potential disruption. Next is A. The A stands for adjust. This step involves accepting where you are and determining your next step. Now you're ready for a plan of action. Notice that this is step number 3. When we skip reflecting and evaluating and jump ahead to create a plan of action, we often take action that doesn't address the root cause of the change, so it isn't sustainable. Questions to consider in this step include, where do I need to adjust? What changes do I need to make? What actions do I need to take to move forward with purpose and joy? Now for the L. The L stands for lose the cape. Often the pressure to show we've bounced back from challenges makes us present almost as a superhero with a mask and a cape. But that doesn't represent reality. Losing the cape helps us model transparency and authenticity. You don't have to be the superhero for others or even for yourself. Instead, give yourself grace as you move forward. Brené Brown says it best. Vulnerability is courage. So ask yourself, how am I sharing my transparent truth with others? It's okay to be real about where you are. When we embrace authenticity and vulnerability as we navigate change and challenges, it helps us to connect with other people in a more meaningful way. Let's commit to practicing real resilience together. Instead of dismissing or diminishing what we've experienced, embrace these 4 steps to journey forward with courage, purpose, authenticity, and joy. For women and professionals of color, getting real about resilience can look different. As a woman, and particularly as a Black woman, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the systemic structures and biases that make us feel the cape or mask is necessary to advance our career. I remember a time in my career when I was interviewing for a position to transition from sales to marketing. It was my first time applying for a marketing role, and many people told me it was unlikely I'd get the job on the first shot. 7 weeks before my wedding, I received a call that I'd gotten the job. I was elated. After learning the details and the timeline of the relocation, coupled with the unexpected news that my fiancé had received a full academic scholarship to get his MBA at one of his top 3 schools across the country, I decided to turn down the offer. It was the best decision for my family and one of the hardest career decisions I've ever had to make. Many leaders were disappointed in my decision, convinced I wouldn't have another shot at being a marketer at our organization. And some believed that I'd even hurt the chances of other Black women to be promoted from sales to marketing because, after all, my promotion would have also impacted the diversity and inclusion priorities within the marketing organization. For 2 years between this experience and landing an even better marketing role, I learned how to shift from barely surviving to boldly thriving in the face of adversity without sacrificing my well-being. As Black women specifically, we're conditioned to embody what it means to be resilient in every area of life. We learn lessons such as you have to be twice as good to get half as much early in our life and career. As such, we often journey through life with our cape and mask in survival mode. If we aren't mindful, we can find ourselves operating from a steady state of survival mode that isn't healthy. Physiologically, our nervous system interprets and responds to our understanding of safety in our environment. When our body senses we aren't safe, our nervous system shifts to survival mode to protect us from what appears to be an unsafe environment. In these moments, we experience the fight, flight, or freeze phenomenon. Fight can look like anger or frustration. Flight often looks like avoidance or denial. And freezing can look like shutting down or justifying. If we aren't mindful, these can become our default responses, especially in work environments where we don't believe we belong. Here are some signs that you may be in survival mode. Prolonged mental or physical fatigue, mental fog, or trouble remembering or having a lack of focus, neglecting your basic needs or your regular daily routine, responding more emotionally than usual at home or at work, isolation or having a difficult time being social with people in your circle, or having a prolonged lack of interest in reestablishing new priorities and routines. Now, we can sometimes think of this as grit. Grit is defined as the firmness of mind and spirit or an unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. I believe Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, says it best. Some people mistake grit for sheer persistence, charging up the same hill again and again. But that's not quite what I mean by the word grit. You might actually have more grit if you treat your energy as a precious commodity. Your energy is a precious commodity. So let's discuss how you can shift from surviving to thriving by defining what thriving means for you. As I was navigating through my difficult career decision, I had a sense that I was pretending that everything was fine when I was actually feeling quite isolated and misunderstood. For me, thriving meant I would show up authentically, manage my mindset, own my narrative, proactively communicate my desired next steps, and focus on what I could control. When I got clear on what thriving looked like for me, I was able to show up with more confidence and courage that not only landed me a better marketing role, but it also let me contribute to a more inclusive workplace by having courageous conversations through my career grief. Emotional intelligence is a skill that's critical for thriving in your career. Embedded in the name, but often left out of career conversations, is the importance of emotions. Our career challenges can evoke emotions. Our typical response to emotions is to hide the ones that we think are bad. But emotions aren't good or bad. They're data. When we leverage our emotions, we increase our self and social awareness, implement solutions with more authenticity, and unleash the power of transformational change. So it's okay to recognize, reflect, and respond through our emotions. This builds our emotional intelligence and helps us to navigate career challenges. So what is career grief? First, let's expand how we think about grief. Most of the time, we only associate grief with the death of a loved one. But this narrow lens can keep us from recognizing moments in our lives when we grieve other kinds of loss. Grief can cover a wide range of life and career experiences. So let's define it. Grief is a natural emotion of complex and frequently unpredictable feelings in response to a loss or a change that disrupts a familiar pattern or prevents a desired outcome. Career grief is experiencing these emotions due to disruption, adversity, or change in our career. There are 5 types of career grief. The first is not getting the job. Experiencing rejection in the job search process can trigger feelings of disappointment, stress, and frustration. When you're interviewing for roles inside of your organization, there can even be feelings of embarrassment or shame that are associated with not getting the job. The second type of career grief is leaving a job or layoffs. Separating from your employer, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, is often a cause of career grief, which can impact how we see ourselves. The third type of career grief is identity grief. Our career choices shape our life experiences, impact who we become, and influence decisions as we move forward. If we aren't mindful, our career can become our entire identity. The fourth type of career grief is microaggressions. This grief can cause us to doubt our capabilities, capacity, and confidence in our current position and the one we're striving for next. The fifth and final type of career grief is getting a promotion. Now, we may not typically associate positive situations with grief. Consider a time when perhaps you had to relocate. Although you may have been excited about the opportunity to explore a new place, you also likely processed what it would mean to leave where you had become accustomed to living in your first location. The loss of your usual routine and community can be a source of grief. Most of us have experienced at least one of these types of grief during our careers. When we expand our perspective on how we define grief, disruption in a pattern, loss, or change that prevents a desired outcome, we become more aware of ways to move forward with authenticity. When we're experiencing a career challenge, if we aren't mindful, our work can impact our feelings of self-worth. But it's important to remember, your work is not a reflection of your worth. Your existence makes you worthy of showing up boldly in your life and career. This mindset can be challenging to maintain because one of the first questions we often ask people we meet is, "What do you do?" Based on their response, we form a picture in our minds and often perceive their value in our lives based on how they answer. Have you ever assumed someone's value based on how senior their title is? Tashonda Brown Duckett, CEO of TIAA, says, "We rent our title, but we own our character. Our titles are temporary, even the big ones. Our career influences our identity, but it doesn't define it." Consider this question to define yourself beyond your career. How would you describe yourself without using your title, company name, or responsibilities? These descriptions make up who you are. You thrive in your career when you bring all of who you are to what you choose to do. Let's discuss how you can embrace what makes you unique to bring your full self to the work you choose to do. I can remember being a part of a pre-college program at Inroads, which is a career development organization, as a junior in high school. And one of the leaders there, Alfonso Alexander, shared this acronym that I want to share with you. It stuck with me to this day, and it's called Your Visa. Your Visa is an acronym that helps you identify what makes you unique. You can use this tool to increase your self-awareness and communicate who you are beyond your title. The VIA Visa stands for values. Think of this as your personal values, your non-negotiable standards that influence your behavior and decision-making. When you face a challenging decision, what informs the route that you take? The IA Visa is interests. What topics, industries, or areas are you curious about? Consider thinking about the topics that you research to learn more about, maybe on a podcast or a book that you enjoy reading. The ESSA Visa is for your skills. What skills have you developed over time? This can include courses, degrees, or skills that you've learned from experience. And finally, the AIA Visa is for your abilities. What do you do well with ease? What are your strengths? Consider the things that you do that come naturally to you, where you execute with less effort than other areas. Our career choices impact our life experiences, but our life and worth don't revolve around our career. You are more than your work. Complete your visa on page 5 of the exercise file to bring more of who you are to what you choose to do in your career. What comes to mind when you think of the word manage? When we manage a project, we actively direct activities to achieve our desired outcome. We have a sense of responsibility and accountability for guiding how the project moves forward. But we rarely take that same responsibility and accountability when it comes to directing or managing our own mindset. When we're aware of what we think, we can start to make shifts in how we think. When those negative stories and self-sabotaging thoughts enter your mind and cause you to shrink, or what my mentor Marshawn Evans Daniels calls shrinking thinking, what do you do with them? Here's an approach I've developed that's helped me take control of my thoughts. Imagine yourself grabbing a hold of your thoughts and taking them captive with this practical guide using the acronym CAPTIVE. Turn to page 6 in the exercise files and let's walk through this together. The C of CAPTIVE stands for challenge. Challenge your thoughts by asking, why do I think that? Is that thought based on an actual experience or something that you've learned vicariously? Don't just suppress your thoughts. Challenge them to uncover why you think this way. The A stands for awareness. Making a habit of challenging your thoughts will raise your awareness of how you think. Instead of immediately dismissing or spiraling in unwanted thoughts, increase your awareness of where that thought came from. Assess how thoughts enter your mind from sources like the content on your social media feed or conversations with others. The P stands for persist. Shift your energy to determine which thoughts require action and which need to be dismissed. Persistence isn't about avoidance or suppressing your thoughts, but rather developing the mental toughness to keep moving through them. The T stands for truth. When you have a thought that you want to dismiss, replace it with the truth. Use affirmations, scriptures, quotes, or whatever is meaningful to you to replace negative thinking with an idea that's steeped in the truth that you want to believe. The I stands for intention. Choose what you focus on. Whether you're attending an event or leading a project or having a one-on-one with your manager, ask yourself, what is my intention here? The V stands for vision. Spend some time visualizing where you want to be in every area of your life. Here are some questions for reflection. Do you see yourself the way you want to be seen? Who do you want to become? What impact do you want to have? What next steps will move you in the direction of that vision? And last but not least, the E of captive is for every day. Oh, you thought this was a one and done process? Absolutely not. Managing your mindset is a daily practice. Repeat these strategies daily so they become habits for how you increase your self-awareness and build mental resilience. Let's take a look at an example of what this captive process looks like. So here's a thought. I'm out of my league on this team. I'm not smart enough to do this job. Now, if we were applying the captive process to this thought, we'd want to challenge the thought by asking, why do I think that? Did I receive feedback that aligns with this thought? This helps us to be more aware. Maybe you come to a realization that I've always had this thought during my team meetings, and it keeps me from speaking up. So now you want to persist. You may say to yourself, I'm going to keep showing up, speaking up, and performing well. Why? Because you've replaced that unwanted thought with the truth. The truth is, I'm the most tenured person on this team. This role may be new, but I bring my depth of experience and expertise to add value to this team. Our intention in this example is, I will focus on using my voice to contribute in every team meeting. Now you've got a vision. You see yourself becoming a leader in this division, and you commit to doing this every day by affirming, today, I will speak up to help my team thrive. The most powerful stories that we tell are the ones we keep recycling and telling ourselves. So taking your thoughts captive is critical for thriving through career challenges. When we experience career grief, it's often tough to see beyond where we've already been and what we're currently experiencing. As we journey through these challenges, not over or around them, we sometimes need to reimagine our career. Our ability to reimagine depends on 4 core areas. Number 1 is beliefs. Our beliefs are the foundation that ground us through career change. What we believe impacts our behavior, helping us move forward even when we can't see every step. When you think about your present challenge or loss, what are your core beliefs? Here are some questions you can ask yourself to uncover those beliefs. What are the top 3 things you believe to be true about your career right now? What informs your belief? How have your beliefs changed through your career challenge? Second are our values. Our values are our North Star that are built on our beliefs and guide our behavior. Think of your values as your filter for decision making. We don't have a set of professional values and a set of personal values. We only have one set of values that guides us in every area of our life. What are your values? One of my favorite resources for determining personal values is Brené Brown's book, Dare to Lead. She describes the importance of naming our values so we can live them out and narrowing them down to the top 2 that we hold most important. Here are 3 questions from Dare to Lead to help you name your top 2 values. First, list all of your values and then consider moments of challenge or adversity in your life and career to narrow the list down to 2. Ask yourself, does this value define me in these moments? Is this value who I am at my best? Is this value a filter that I use to make hard decisions? Now for the third step. It's time to clarify and expand our vision. Think of vision as seeing beyond what you can presently see. What's the vision you have of where you're headed next? Now, you may be thinking, I had a vision and this certainly wasn't it. I hear you. That's the hard part about change, challenge, and loss. Life can completely shift the path that we're on, and making our path forward towards our goals and accomplishments look really different. The key, however, is to know we can always refine our vision. If you wear glasses like I do, you know what this is like. You walk into the optometrist seeing just fine. Then you go through this eye exam and you realize there's an opportunity for you to see even better. This is what it looks like to refine our vision, to reimagine going beyond where we thought we were capable of. Here are some questions to ask yourself to refine your vision. What kind of life do I want to live? What am I doing when I have the most joy? Who do I want to become? And finally, our decisions are where the rubber meets the road. The purpose of reimagining is to take action towards your new and next normal. Often when we experience change, challenge, and loss, it can be difficult for us to imagine what feels like a complete 180-degree change in our life and career. The way that we get to reinvention is through the smaller decisions we make every day. What new decisions do you need to make to manifest the vision you have for your life and career? It's possible to invent a completely different path for your career. The beauty of change, challenge, and loss is that it forces us to prioritize what we truly want and to move forward with purpose. As you're reimagining your career, consider how you'll communicate with other people, where you are now, and where you want to go next. Stories are one of our most powerful communication tools because they shape what we believe and think about the people and places around us. Have you ever watched a movie or been reading a story and had a sense of seeing yourself in the story? Scientists call this mirroring. Our brains are wired to connect with the actions and emotions of others when we hear a story. So how do you organize your career story to reflect your experiences and goals? First, you need to define the core themes of your career story. Think of this like a movie genre, those succinct categories that help us understand what kind of story a movie is going to tell us. Check out page 8 of the exercise file and let's define your themes and map out your career story. When you think of the breadth and depth of your career, including any present career challenges, what core themes come to mind? Think of this as the attributes you demonstrate regardless of your role. The goal here is to synthesize how you want to be seen into 3 brief bullet points. For example, when I was reflecting on this after turning down that marketing role and recognizing I needed to own my narrative, 3 themes were present for me. 1, I'm a learner. Learning is my top strength, so I use this challenge to learn and grow. 2nd, I'm a leader. Across my career, I was asked to lead people in projects. I leaned into this theme to demonstrate leadership through adversity. And 3rd, I'm innovative. I continuously take risks to improve in new ways. These themes become your brand. They represent not only your experiences and expertise, but also how you're seen and valued in your organization. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself to reflect and uncover the core themes across your career. What strengths are present across your career? How do you want the people that work with you to describe you? What impact do you create regardless of your role? Remember, this exercise is helping you to define who you are so that you can create an authentic and compelling career story. Now that you've determined your themes, let's use this framework to write out your career story. First, gather all of your career story documents. These are files like your resume, your mid and year-end reviews, emails that reflect any recognition or peer or client feedback, your accomplishments and any self-assessments. Review these documents and highlight examples that demonstrate those 3 themes that you want people to remember about you. This is also a great way to validate the themes that you wrote down. Think of these examples or mini stories as episodes in your movie. Now you're ready to map out your career story. Let's focus on your experiences in your last 3 roles. For each of your last 3 roles, including the one that you're currently in, list your title and organization, and then answer the following 3 questions. Number 1, what was my biggest lesson in this role? Number 2, what unique experience did I gain? And number 3, what transferable skills can I leverage? Identifying what you learned, experienced, and the transferable skills you gained will help you to articulate your value through storytelling in a clear, concise, and compelling way. In the next section, we'll discuss how you can use this guide to articulate your career story. When you think about communicating your career story, the first thing that may come to mind is sharing in a video, on a website, or even here on your LinkedIn profile. There are several ways for you to share your story. But remember, you're communicating your story every single day with your manager, with your customer, and with your colleagues. As we've discussed, think of communicating your career story like episodes of your favorite show. Every interaction you have with someone is potentially a new episode. So don't feel you have to share your entire story. You have several seasons to add new episodes. The purpose of sharing your career story is to communicate the value you bring to your work. So what exactly is value? Value is the regard that something is believed to deserve, the importance or usefulness of something. So when you're communicating your value, there are 3 priorities to keep in mind. First, who are you talking to? Who's in your audience? Second, what do they care about? What are their goals and priorities? And third, what strengths of yours align to their priorities? John C. Maxwell says it best, the purpose of communication is to connect. So in essence, communicating is more about who you're talking to and what matters to them than what we want to share. Answering these 3 questions will set you up to better communicate your value by understanding what's important to the person you're talking to. Now, we defined your core themes in the last section. You now have this great guide for communicating your career story. Let's walk through an example of what that might sound like. So in this example, I'm going to share with you as if I'm in my current role as a sales leader, and I'm looking to transition to a new role as a marketer. And I've identified on my guide the biggest lesson learned, my unique experience, and my transferable skill. Here's how that might sound. In my current role as a senior healthcare representative, one of the biggest lessons that I learned was how to take localized insights and prepare a brand strategy that would meet the current needs in the market. I had a really unique experience in this role where I'd had an opportunity to train our entire region, develop a training to help to implement a local brand strategy. This really sets me up to transition from my current sales role into a marketing role by being very attentive to local insights and to create a strategic marketing plan that will help districts and regions thrive. Now it's your turn. Share your questions in the Q&A if you'd like feedback on your career story. Let's connect. Send me a message. In the next section, we'll discuss who to share these introductions and stories with. Now that you have more clarity on your story as you navigate career challenges, let's discuss who to share that with. It's essential to correctly identify where people are in your network to help you manage expectations around the kind of support you'll receive from them. I created this pyramid of support framework to help you categorize who is in your network and where potential gaps might be. How do you know who supports you? The clearest sign of support is investment. When people invest their time, expertise, relationship capital, or money in you, it's clear that they support you. Let's take a look at each of the levels to help you gain clarity on your network. This first level are spectators. Now, they may say things like, "Hey, it's good to see you." These are the people that you know see you. And they could be people that you don't even know are watching. Spectators are the largest group in your network and thus the base that we build from. These people are observing your moves, taking mental notes of your results, assessing your attitude, reading your captions or blog posts, and they're very much aware of who you are. How you thrive through career challenges will determine who moves from watching what you do to affirming you. That brings us to our next level, encouragers. Encouragers say things like, "Keep up the great work." This is the group of people who affirm you. They provide positive feedback and can truly be an inspiration in the workplace. Encouragers don't wait for the mid or end of the year review. They consistently look for moments to lift you up with a kind word. Although this group in your network can be a source of strength, it can also be a level where mismanaged expectations happen. Have you ever felt disappointed by a lack of support from someone? It's likely because they were an encourager. They've positively affirmed you, so you may expect them to thus make an investment in you, and when they don't, that can create the conflict. The next level is supporters. Supporters say things like, "How can I help you?" Now we've crossed over to the investors in our network. Supporters are people who actively engage with you by sharing their time, talent, or treasure to help you reach your goals. These are the people who agree to write a recommendation, proofread your resume, give you advice on how to navigate a challenge, or make time for quarterly mentorship. Many people's network ends here with supporters, but if you're going to advance your career or thrive through adversity, you need this last level. The last level is sponsors. Sponsors say things like, "I spoke with the hiring manager on your behalf today." I use a pyramid to visibly represent these levels because you will have less people in each level as you move up, and that's okay. You don't need and likely won't have the same number of sponsors as supporters. So what is a sponsor? Think of it like this. Supporters will save you a seat at the meeting, and a sponsor will have an additional chair brought into their meeting to make room for you to sit down. Sponsors have the power to create opportunities for you and to speak up on your behalf in rooms that you don't have access to. They are supporters with influence, power, and access, and they share that with you. Having the support of people in your network is essential for thriving in any area of your career. From spectators to sponsors, our success is inextricably linked to the people around us. Map out your pyramid of support on pages 10 through 11 of the exercise file. Now that you have more clarity on who's in your pyramid of support, let's discuss how to maintain these relationships. Most people fail in the follow-up when it comes to networking. When we think of networking, particularly during a career challenge, it's just as important to cultivate our current relationships as it is to meet new people to expand our network. Following up with your network helps you focus on the depth versus the breadth of your connections. Fill in this blank. It's not what you know, it's... If you thought or said who you know, then let's update this cliche together. It's not what you know, it's not who you know, but it's who knows you. Career grief can change us and cause us to set new priorities. So it's important that our pyramid of support knows us, the current version, and understands our goals and aspirations as we thrive through change. Consider that building relationships is similar to building a savings account. You want to make some significant deposits before requesting a withdrawal. Building your network in an intentional way includes making deposits to add value to the people in your network so that when you need to ask for their support during your career challenge, you can do so with clarity and confidence. So let's discuss two aspects of how to cultivate your network. The first way is in how you follow up. So let's discuss some ways that you can follow up. Remember that adding value to your network is about them. Value is defined as the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. So in essence, we add value by understanding the person we're connecting with and knowing what they care about and how to be attentive to their priorities. Here are some ways to follow up to add value to your network. The first way is right here on LinkedIn. You can use messaging to connect with people versus email. The second way is to use email. Consider this a great place to add those deposits, but be brief and leverage a scheduling tool for efficiency. The third way is to think about resources that you can share, podcasts and articles that you can share to add value. The fourth way is to remember milestones. Things like birthdays and anniversaries are great ways for you to cultivate connection. And last but not least, remember to be brief and genuine in your outreach. The second way that we build our network is to have a plan. We want to have a plan and a system for how we follow up with our pyramid. My mentor once said that every struggle is a sign of a missing system. And I believe she's right. Following up with our network isn't hard. It's just that most of us don't have a system to do it. Here's an example of a system that you can integrate into your work every week. Pause the video here and turn to page 12 in the exercise file, and let's create your first 48 list together. Create a list of 48 people, 12 people in each of these 4 areas. The first area is your family and friends. The second area, think of people who are close to you, people who you want to maintain a relationship with. The third area are people where you may have a warm connection. You know them, but you want to strengthen the relationship. And the last column are people that are cold, people that you don't know, but you want to meet. The first 48 list is a focused group to help you grow your network that includes people you know and people that you don't know. There are 2 ways to work this list based on your capacity. Set a weekly 15-minute recurring invite on your calendar with your first 48 list attached. Pick one person per week to reach out to and use those 15 minutes to write a LinkedIn message, send an email or a text to connect with this person. The other option is to reach out to 4 people per week and repeat this list every quarter. With both options, there's some cushion for vacations or busy weeks. But this practice of scheduling time to make deposits will help you cultivate your network and build support through transitions. As we're speaking with people during our career challenges, sharing our stories and cultivating our network, it's important to also be mindful of the advice that we filter through in these conversations. Feedback from other people can help you gain clarity, and it can also cause confusion. This is why it's important to be intentional around personal leadership as you're going through career grief. A tool that has really helped me through career challenges has been affirmations. Thriving is a mindset before it's a manifestation. So we have to envision what will be seen before we see it. And sometimes, when we're connecting with other people, what they see can disrupt our belief in what we envision for ourselves. This is how we practice personal leadership to lead ourselves from where we are to where we want to be. So I want to share with you some affirmations that are helpful for thriving through career challenges. In an earlier session, we talked about the importance of managing our mindset and taking our thoughts captive. Here are some affirmations that'll be helpful for you through change and challenge. If you're watching this video in a space where you can say these affirmations out loud, I encourage you to read these along with me. I am equipped to thrive through my current challenges. Everything I need is within me. Obstacles are an opportunity to reimagine and recreate in unprecedented ways. I'm a career thriver. Self-care is service. Today, I will make time to be present to give myself what I need to thrive. I thrive under pressure and also know how to use my voice and boundaries to prevent burnout. If I need help, I will ask. If I'm uncomfortable, I will speak up. I'm granting myself grace and have everything I need to thrive through this season. Every experience is an opportunity for continuous improvement. I'm prepared and ready to learn, grow, and improve. I am proud of my progress. You'll find many more helpful affirmations on page 13 of the exercise file. Use these affirmations as you take your thoughts captive and replace thoughts you don't want with ones you want to believe. When we experience career challenges, we often have more questions than answers as our plans and priorities change. This can cause our emotions to sway in different directions daily. These affirmations will help you build your personal leadership skills to keep believing, keep building, and affirming yourself as you focus forward. The most challenging aspect of making decisions during career challenges is determining the next step without all the details. When you're in the middle of a career challenge and having conversations with people about taking the next step, it can cause you to be indecisive. But in actuality, making a decision is what brings clarity. Prioritize courageously choosing an option over needing to feel crystal clear before you decide. If you're feeling unclear about what to do next, the best way to get clear is to make a decision. So how do you do that? Have you ever considered the process that you use to make decisions? There is a widely used 7-step decision-making process that's often used in business. Let's take a look at each of the steps. Step 1 is to identify the problem. Ask yourself these questions. What problem needs to be solved? What decision needs to be made? What is the ideal outcome of this decision? Step 2, you want to collect the information. Stay curious throughout the process and gather the data, case studies, and information you need to assess various perspectives and make an informed decision. Step 3 is to identify any alternate solutions. As you collect information, look for different options to solve your problem. There may be one that you haven't considered, and this process will bring it to light. Step 4, now you're ready to weigh the evidence. It's time to assess all of those different solutions that you found. Writing them out is helpful here. Consider using a problem-solving tool like a pros and cons list or a SWOT analysis to lay out all of your options. Step 5 is to choose from the alternatives. Which alternative will you choose? I've found this question to be helpful instead of asking myself which option is best. Sometimes the best option could be a combination of all of the options, or choosing an alternative and testing it and coming back later to make another choice. You have the power to choose an alternative and change course down the road if you need to. Step 6 is to take action. Decide how you'll implement this decision. Take action and stay open to feedback along the way. And lastly, step 7, evaluate the impact. How did the option you chose impact you and those around you? Measure and track the results of your decision by tracking your progress weekly or getting feedback from team members. This will allow you to make improvements as you go forward. Finally, as you research and collect information to make an objective decision, remember these 2 sources for decision making. The first is intuition. This is our gut feeling about which decision to make, a collection of our experience, expertise, and beliefs. Leaning on our intuition is not a bad approach. It's subjective, but it's also important. The second source is influence. This is the impact our pyramid of support has on our decision-making process. The bigger the decision is, the more likely we are to consider the thoughts and opinions of people we trust. The more we trust the people that give us counsel during change and challenges, the more influence they have on our decisions. Be intentional about who you implement advice from as you're making decisions about your career. Prioritizing courage to select an option will help you to make more decisive, confident, and focused decisions as you move forward. Self-care isn't selfish. In many ways, it's selfless because prioritizing our well-being benefits those around us. The more we fill our cup, the more we have to pour into others. Oprah Winfrey says it like this: your real work is to figure out where your power base is and to work on the alignment of your personality and gifts with the real reason why you're here. When we experience change and challenges in our career, it reveals our most authentic priorities and purpose. It can also impact how we work, creating faster-paced environments with more to be done and fewer resources to work with. Resilience becomes critical here. Sometimes we try to bury ourselves in work when hard moments arise, but self-care helps us prioritize our mental, emotional, and physical well-being, which also allows us to show up better, more attentive, more focused, and more productive for other people. Self-care will change as you evolve and grow, so it's up to you to determine what it looks like in your life. Through career and personal grief, my biggest lesson has been learning to give myself grace. As you may have noticed, I really like acronyms. They help us remember information so we can implement it. So here's an acronym I've created to help us practice self-care and to give ourselves grace. Give yourself grace through gratitude. Begin and end your day with gratitude. Affirmations, as we discussed, are tools that maintain a growth mindset of gratitude and abundance through change. You can read affirmations aloud, journal, or blog about what you're grateful for at the end of each day. Give yourself grace through rest. Our bodies, minds, and spirit need rest to be resilient. Rest is critical for thriving through career challenges. Next, you can give yourself grace through acceptance. As you accept where you are and tap into your courage to change what you can control, you will move forward with more clarity and confidence. Give yourself grace through confidence. Career challenges often impact our confidence more than we expect. Our confidence can slip so subtly that we don't even realize we're second-guessing ourselves and doubting every decision we make. Be intentional and choose to be confident. Collect information and assess alternatives as we discussed in the 7 steps of decision-making. As you make decisions, you'll be more clear and more confident. And lastly, give others grace through empathy. As you're proceeding with grace, I can guarantee you that others will need it as well. When you're met with difficult conversations or challenging situations, prioritize empathy. As you progress through career transitions, self-care will yield a positive return on your investment. Make the time to practice giving yourself grace on your journey to be the best version of yourself for you, your family, your teammates, and your organization. You are a career thriver, and I am rooting for you. Congratulations on completing this course. It's been a joy to help you redefine resilience and say goodbye to pretending we're rubber bands that snap right back after being stretched. Instead, you now have the tools to thrive through challenges with authenticity, purpose, courage, and joy. I also encourage you to get your own copy of my book that this course has been based on. Thrive Through It is available on Audible and wherever books are sold. You have your exercise files that we've been walking through as a reference to help you move forward. I'd also be happy to connect with you here on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out and join my LinkedIn Live events and contribute to the course Q&A. For more resources to help you thrive in your career, subscribe to my podcast, the Career Thrivers Podcast. I look forward to connecting with you. Let's thrive together.